Thank you very much. I want to say a few words about the best practices adopted by France during the COVID-19 pandemic in relation to the challenges faced by the seafarers. As you know, both the IMO, the International Labour Organization, and the European Union, among others, have called upon states to recognize seafarers as essential workers and to facilitate their movements. France heeded these calls from the international community and quickly set up different tools to improve the situation. We set up a crisis unit to help French ship owners overcome the constraints caused by the crisis. Its main role was to support and monitor the request from ship owners for crew changes abroad. We also created a procedure aimed at facilitating crew changes in mainland France and overseas as well. We published a list of ports where crew changes for ships, regardless of their flag, is guaranteed, easing the travel of seafarers regardless of their nationality to and from French ports, both in mainland France and overseas. In this system, I must precise that the French overseas territories have played an essential role given their geographical position close to major trade routes. As an example, on Reunion Island, which is located in the Indian Ocean, more than 1,000 crew changes operations have been carried out, involving almost 14,000 seafarers. Altogether, 23,000 seafarers, both foreign and national, were able to transit in mainland France and overseas since March for crew change. The situation has now improved. There are far fewer seafarers who have exceeded the duration of their contract on board ships flying the French flag, and some more ports have reopened for crew changes. However, while part of the world is affected by the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, some countries are closing their borders to seafarers from the most severely affected countries. France is considered to be part of them. In addition, many flights from European countries are cancelled due to a lack of passengers because of the containment measures taken in these regions. As a result, there is a risk of a second wave of a crew change crisis. In this context, the French Ministry of Marine Affairs works on the following tracks. Measures for the inclusion of seamen in the derogatory categories have been taken, and seafarers and fishing crews are recognized as essential workers and can always transit through France to join their ship or return home. Administrative facilitation measures have been taken concerning documents, as in many other countries, that was mentioned earlier. The Seaman's Book enables to obtain a certain number of facilities, such as the seafarer being able to go ashore without a visa in the port of call of his or her ship. We also have preventive measures against coronavirus. A web page intended for seafarers and shipping companies presents the main measures implemented and recommendation in the context of the COVID-19 outbreak and state of health emergency in France. We have coronavirus control measures. In France, quarantine is said to be voluntary. It is not mandatory. European seafarers are not subject to quarantine. And when non-European seafarers come to France by plane, they must be tested before departure, and they are not subject then to a quarantine in France if they have been tested before. We have visa exemption measures. A visa exemption on departure is possible, as visas are issued on arrival at the border for a maximum length of 15 days. We have measures to facilitate air transportation. France has supported the ship owners' initiative to carry out charter flights, and some of those flights have become regular on a fortnight basis. We have taken measures to ensure the health of seafarers. During crew changes, health corridors have been set up, sometimes with transit hotels. When it was not possible to repatriate some seafarers to their home countries, they have been hosted in France. They were able to rest at the ship owner's expense in hotels or holiday centers, and they were not in contact with the local population. Regarding initiatives taken by the IMO, France has designated as early as September 23rd its national focal point on crew change and repatriation of seafarers. We have also issued 5 letters to be disseminated among IMO member states and associate members in order to keep them up to date with the latest decisions concerning administrative procedures applicable. Finally, France took 2 specific initiatives in the IMO organs in relation with the challenges faced by seafarers. A proposal has been made to the IMO Facilitation Committee in October to request that all countries open up the possibilities of obtaining a visa at the border in case that seafarers have not been able to obtain a visa issued at the consulates. And also, after a long debate on November 10th, the implementation of an essential tool to facilitate the organization of crew changes was decided by the Marine Safety Committees, as already mentioned earlier by Mr. Ismail Kobos of the IMO Secretariat. It consists of a global database of ports that facilitate crew changes, and it will be available on the GISIS platform. This database, as we understood, should be operational by the end of the year. And finally, I must also mention the fact that the French Minister for Marine Affairs announced during the last World Maritime Day in September that France would submit a proposal for an amendment to the International Maritime Labour Convention to facilitate crew changes. The impact of these measures have been, as much as we can evaluate, positive as far as France is concerned, because there have only been a few cases of sick people on board French shipowners' vessels, and they have always been well managed. Some ship owners have also drafted their own health protocol in addition to the protocol drawn up by the administration. As a conclusion, I must recall that the transit difficulties affecting seafarers led to additional economic costs, threatening the existence of some shipowners and causing a major human danger. This situation may lead to technical risk on the vessels due to a lack of maintenance and crew fatigue, which can seriously jeopardize maritime safety. It is therefore of utmost importance, despite the second wave of the pandemic, to continue to make the greatest efforts in order to solve the challenges met by seafarers all over the world. Thank you very much. Je vous remercie.